Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. So I'm going to be answering your questions about the Story Magic Academy. So if you have a question at any point, please just stick it in the chat and I will endeavour to answer all of them. So I have a cup of tea, obviously. I'm drinking actually caffeinated breakfast tea at 7 p.m. in the evening, which is absolutely crazy for me because I wanted to be like, I wanted to have my brain inside my head for this. So hello. So I'm going to start with a couple of questions that were in the chat. So Kyla asks, are there still spots available? Very quick answer to this one. Yes, there are still plenty of spots available. I'm looking to keep the class size pretty small so that it doesn't get overwhelming in the Q&A sessions and things. But at the moment, we're not close to getting to a class size that I'm like, that's maybe getting a little bit out of hand. So yeah, absolutely. And there are still spots available, but enrollment closes tomorrow. So you only have like today and tomorrow to decide if you are in or if you are out. And then the academy will be closed and in session for the semester, and then we'll be back sometime next year. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Janet asks, do I need Skype to participate in the live portion of the academy? And this is a really good question that I feel silly now that I didn't put it on the sales page. No, you don't need Skype. We actually do those, the Rachel study sessions. So every week I do like a live Q&A. So that you can get your questions answered about last week's lesson. And, if you've started the assignment for that week, if you're struggling with anything. And I'm actually going to be doing those just through this, actually just as a YouTube live stream. It'll be private, of course, so it's only for the students of the academy. So if you are here now, then you will be fine to join those as well. You don't need Skype, you don't need Zoom, you don't need any other apps or anything like that. So yeah, hello people. So Ricardo, this is a great question actually. Hi, just wondering how knowledgeable does one have to be on the plot embryo to join the academy? Any level is totally fine because the whole point of, so if you are familiar with my work, if you've watched a lot of my videos before, I know I talk about the plot embryo in quite a lot of my videos. If you've done my free course, How to Plot on One Page, then you'll be already quite comfortable with the basic definitions of the different parts and stuff. Maybe you've done some of your own. If that is you, then the Story Magic Academy is all about developing that knowledge, going deeper, helping you to get to those answers and to fill out those parts of the plot embryo faster, more easily, and to create stories maybe which have more depth. Like if there's anything which you are unsure of, particular parts of the plot embryo or how to go about it or how to weave them together, like the Story Magic Academy is really your one-stop shop to get all up to date and to really like master it once and for all is how I like to put it. But if you have never used the plot embryo before, if you maybe have watched a couple of my videos or you've heard me talk about it a lot, but you don't really know what it is, then the Story Magic Academy teaches you all of it. So you don't need to worry. It's really versatile in the different kind of stages that you can be at to still get something really valuable out of it. You can be a total beginner. You can never have heard of the plot embryo. As long as you want to learn how to create stories, then I will show you how to do it with the plot embryo. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, just stick something else in the chat. This is another great question, actually, and this is one that I've already had from someone else, and so I was going to make a point to answer it here as well. So Russell asks, I'm working a huge amount in September to October, and it makes me super sad thinking I will not have time for this amazing Magic Academy. How many hours per week during the course, both interaction and self-study? So at the moment, I am working on doing like the final versions of these lessons. Like I've done them already before, but I'm now like adding in extra things that like I need to cover from like, questions that previous students have had on that lesson and stuff. So I'm expanding them a little bit. The previous semester of the Academy, each lesson averaged about an hour and a half. And I would expect that to be roughly about the same for this one. So that's the video lecture. The Q&A, so the weekly Q&A, which is called Rachel's Study, is a live stream, will be around an hour, I expect. Or, you know, if you guys are like, we don't have any questions, you explained that all really well, we're just having a good time, then they'll probably be a bit shorter. But those are, I mean, technically optional. If you don't have any questions, if you are getting along fine with the assignment and you don't feel the need to join in that week, then you don't have to go to those, especially on weeks where you might have something, where you might have more things on, you might be busier. In terms of how long the assignments take each week, so each week you will have an assignment which will kind of like, you know, get you further through the steps of creating or completing, one of those words. You can't say them both at the same time, Rachel. Creating or completing your plot embryo. Those are variable, obviously, because you need to, it really just depends how long it takes you to complete that particular task. And it's variable lesson to lesson as well. Some lessons, I think you might nail it in half an hour. Some lessons you might be doing some work for a few hours and then having to take a break, and then, you know, doing another few hours like throughout the rest of the week. I would say on average, as an estimate, the amount of work time for the assignments is probably an average of 3 hours a week, with the knowledge that some of them are going to be much shorter and some of them are going to be longer. But something that I said to someone else recently as well is that if you fall behind for any reason in the Academy, you have lifetime access to all of the resources. Like, they're not going anywhere. This isn't, the Academy isn't going to just disappear once the semester is over. You still have access to all of it. So if, unfortunately, something comes up and you do fall behind, the only thing really that you're missing out is being on track and on pace with everyone else, and maybe getting your questions answered in the Q&As. But you can also, if you can't make the Q&As, you can also send me your question ahead of time and then just watch the recording of it after it's done. So there is a lot of flexibility there. I hope that answers your question. Russell said, thank you, that sounds perfect. Great, awesome. So yeah, so if you do fall behind a little bit, you can still finish it at your own pace, and I think you will still get a tremendous amount out of it. It's just that, you know, to get the full experience and to get everything out of it you possibly can, it is a bit better to still be, you know, on track with the assignments and the lessons week to week with everyone else. Okay, so I am going to butcher your name, I'm sorry. Stein Holmes asks, at what time do live sessions happen? Time zones can be a problem. Yes, this is tricky. So in fact, actually, I do have the time somewhere because I recently changed. I had one time originally, and then I was like, actually, I'm going to try and make this time zone even better for everyone else. So I changed it. Let me go find out. So the live streams are on Sundays, but as I've already kind of explained, you don't actually have to be there if you can't make it, as long as you submit your question anytime before it happens, then I will definitely answer it and you'll be able to watch the recording of that. So let me just go to my calendar here and double check the exact time for you guys. I believe, oh man, I have so much stuff on here. Okay. Oh, well, that's not helpful, is it, computer? Honestly. Sorry, guys, just 1 second. Let's just make sure that I don't accidentally start playing something aloud here. That would be great. Yeah, so the video lessons, like I said, go out on Thursdays. And and they are pre-recorded, so you don't need to be there, exactly for them to come out. And the live streams are on Sundays. I've almost got them. Here we go. Oh, why are you giving me it in that time? Okay. So the live streams are scheduled at the moment for 6 p.m. my time on Sundays, which is like 1 hour, like 1 hour ago, basically, if that was today. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to run with that to begin with. If, like, depending on like our final breakdown of the students for the academy, there's actually a time that would work better for everyone, then I'm open to changing that as well, just so you know. So it is now 7 p.m. for me, well, 7:10. Oh, good. I'm glad that my second attempt at your name was good. Thank you. Okay. Oh, thank you, Carl, for translating that time zone. So, okay, let me just make sure that I've not missed any more questions. Jason Moore, interesting question. Would you ever consider putting these lessons up on Skillshare or Udemy, however you pronounce that? That is not something I've considered actually at all, to be honest. So I guess my honest answer to that right now is I don't know. At the moment, I'm using a course platform called Thinkific, which means that I get to design it all myself. And for what I wanted, I did weigh up like, a few different platforms, and for the way that I wanted to run the academy and the format of the lessons and everything, Thinkific just ended up being the best. And so that's why I've gone with that. And I think it would obviously be easiest for me to just use that, in future, but I am not averse to maybe thinking about other platforms in future as well. So in short, I don't know. Maybe. I guess I want to, so would that be something that is like helpful or appealing for you guys? And if so, why? Because I have never really used Skillshare or Udemy. And so I don't really know what the benefits are of them versus other platforms. Laura has a question. Thank you that someone has pointed out. At the beginning of the course, will you provide a syllabus? It depends what exactly you mean by syllabus. At the moment, I have the course outline already on the sales page. So it breaks down what each of the 10 lessons is about. That is a kind of syllabus to me. But if you mean like a more detailed version of that, or, lecture handouts in advance of lectures and things like that, then no, because I actually decided specifically not to turn all of the lectures, all of the lessons into handouts or PDFs or anything like that, because I find that when you have those to rely on, or personally when I have those to rely on, I tend to not bother trying to learn and internalize the information as much, because I know that I can always just go back to it in text form. Whereas you have access to the videos, forever basically. But my idea is hopefully that you, on watching or rewatching the videos, will take your own notes to help you kind of get a deeper understanding of the lesson. Let me know if that answers your question, because it kind of depends what you mean by syllabus. Okay, Laura says, thanks, that makes so much sense. I'll refer to your outline. Yes, I was about to try and reel it off, and then I was like, Rachel, don't do that. Don't embarrass yourself by getting it wrong. There are 10 lessons and they're outlined on the sales page if you would like more information. So Jay Hartman asks, do students submit homework online and you provide feedback? Do students comment on each other's work, or is it private between you and each student? So I don't actually, for this semester of the academy, have anything in place to submit your assignments for me to see. Personally, like some of the assignments, I ask you to, what's the best way to say this? I ask you to delve deep into what you care about, because that is one of the most important things that you need to know to figure out what stories you care about telling, if that makes sense. So some of the lessons are quite introspective, and I ask you to brainstorm or explore things which are quite personal, and those processes only work when you know that you don't have to show it to anyone else, because I want you to be able to be completely honest. So I do not expect to ever see any of your assignments if you don't want me to. There is no like marked homework kind of system in place at the moment. The place where you can share any parts of your assignment or stories or story seeds or plot embryos and stuff, if you would like to, and if you want feedback, is on the private Discord for the Story Magic Academy. So we have a specific channel in that Discord where you can share your work, and other students can give you feedback and comment on it, and you can see other students' work as well. I will be in there sometimes, but I can't commit to giving everyone personalized feedback, unfortunately, just because of time. But I will make an attempt to be in there and kind of, seeing how things are going for people as well. I hope that makes sense and answers everything. But yeah, like if you love sharing things, then you absolutely can. If you prefer not to share anything at all, and I've had people contact me who are like, I'm writing something really particular, or like I'm interested in writing about fan fiction, but I'm writing fan fiction or something, and I'm not super comfortable sharing. So like, is that going to be okay? And yeah, that's totally fine. You are under no obligation to share what you're working on with anyone. It's just something that's there if you would like to do it. You don't need to ask questions. You don't need to share anything in the live streams and the Q&As and stuff either. Like I said, it's going to be like this. I'm on screen, you're in the chat, so you can be as reserved or as outgoing and share as much as you want. I hope that answers that. Okay, so I have a few questions that have been asked quite a lot, and so I'm going to try and cover some of those. But if anyone has a question, please do stick it in the chat as well. Where are we? Yes, here we go. Okay. Okay, so okay, something else that I've been asked quite a lot is what is happening with novel navigation sessions? So that those one-to-one coaching sessions, are you still offering those? Are they going alongside the academy? Can I do those instead of the academy? So let me clear that up right now. Okay, I'll answer your question in a minute, Carl. So I'm actually retiring the novel navigation sessions, and the whole idea behind the academy is for it to be a one-stop shop that would replace those, and I will tell you why. I used to offer what I called novel navigation sessions, which were like one-to-one Skype calls with me to help you wherever you were stuck with your book, or with whatever you were struggling with. And during those sessions, it was like one-offs. So like it would be like 1 hour or maybe like 3 1-hour sessions or something. And I would just be like jumping into like a random thing, like a random place where you are with your writing. And you would tell me what you're struggling with, and I'd be like, oh, I've got something for that. Here we go. But what I realized after doing that for over a year, actually, I think it might be like 1.5 years now or something that I've been doing those sessions, and I've done a lot of them, is that I was offering people just little pieces of the puzzle. I was giving them little pieces, little techniques and little ideas and stuff, but really it was all coming from this same one big system that I used to create stories and to write. And I realized that I was giving people little valuable pieces of insight and little techniques and stuff, but they were out of context, and they actually all kind of depend on each other. Like it's a step-by-step system. You go here and then you do that, and so people weren't getting as much out of it because I could only give them these little piecemeal bits, and I would be trying to, I just could not cover everything that I needed to cover in that one lesson, and they couldn't properly implement the stuff that I was giving them, or at least I felt like, because there's all this other stuff that kind of is related to it and that depends on it. And I also felt to some extent that people were like, I need a fish. And I was like, here's a fish. And instead of just giving people fish, like helping them like solve a particular problem, like solve the problem for them almost, I would rather just teach you how to do that yourself. I would rather teach you how to fish than spend all of my time fishing and then just giving people fish, if that makes sense. Not that I got any of that, and not that I got any bad feedback from any of those sessions, actually. Like, everyone was always very positive and said that they were always really helpful. But I have seen over time that like I just knew that I could actually be helping people more if I just gave them the whole pie, the whole A to Z. Here's where you start. Here's why you start there. Here's why that's helpful. And then, this is step 2 and this is step 3, and just, and then it could be like a real transformation and something of real value, instead of just trying to fix all these small problems piecemeal here and there. So that's what's happening with novel navigation sessions. I'm retiring them. I'm not doing them anymore, as far as I know. I don't have any plans to reopen them. The Story Magic Academy is the alternative. It's exactly what I was teaching in those sessions, but it's all of it instead of just little pieces of it. So Carl asks, during session, would we call you Headmistress Stephen? You absolutely can. Ever since I put the word headmistress in the sales page, Ross now calls me headmistress, and it's hilarious. But yeah, I just thought it went with the idea of the academy. So there we go. So another question that I have had quite a few times now that I would like to clear up for you guys is, I guess it's like two questions, kind of. So there are people who are like, can I take my current project through the Story Magic Academy? There are people who have asked me, like, I've got like these kind of like tiny story ideas already. Can I use that and take it through the academy, or do I have to do something absolutely from scratch? And then I have people who are just like, well, why do I have to create something from scratch from the academy? Why can't I use an idea I've already got? So let me clear that up for you guys now. Basically, the academy is designed to help you like learn how to generate story ideas from the very beginning, from scratch, from zero, nothing, so that you can then do that on demand in future. Because when we like rely purely on strikes of inspiration or dreams, a lot of us rely on dreams for good story ideas, like for that first, like, oh, maybe I'll write a story about that kind of idea. We get really attached to those ideas because they feel really finite. It feels like, well, I've had 4 of those, so I guess I better write those. Oh my. Because we don't know how to make them appear. We just kind of have to wait for them to strike us. But the truth is really that there are so many easy ways. And there's one in particular, my easy way of generating lots of exciting story ideas and concepts and premises, then you really know what to do with. Like, once you know how to do that, how to like make lightning strike on command, how to like have a story idea, the old ideas that you've been holding on to for like a long time don't feel as like absolutely crucial that you write them, because you know that you can develop them into something else, or it was just an idea you had and you can generate more whenever you want. So you might think, like, I've already got so many ideas that I want to write, like I don't have time to start a new story. Like, why are you making me start a new story when I've already got all of these like half-finished projects and stuff? But this to me is really like, it's kind of like you're trying to chop down a tree with a blunt axe, and you're like, I don't have time to stop to sharpen it. Okay, I need to cut down this tree. But if you stop to sharpen the axe, of course, then you can actually cut the tree down that much quicker. So the purpose of the academy is not to just get you one really good story that you love. It's not really about that story. It's really about teaching you how to be able to generate and develop as many stories as you want, stories that you really love. The one story that you end up developing over the academy is really just a bonus side effect. It's like, oh, I ended up with a really cool story at the end of that. That's great. But the real value of it is like, now you've learned how to do that for the rest of your life. So the academy in this way it's sharpening the axe. Like, I'm like, just stop chopping for a moment and let's sharpen the axe. And then you can chop down 7 trees if you like. And that will be that much faster than doing the one, but like leaving it blunt and being like, I don't have time. So you have to go a little bit slower now, like through the academy, to then go much faster in future, if that makes sense. So that is why that I have people start from scratch. And another reason as well is just that when you have an existing story idea, even if it's really small, you tend to have like pre-existing notions and thoughts and feelings and emotions attached to that idea. And I have a very particular order in which we do things to develop an idea. And that order is there for a reason, because it helps you to do it the most easily and quickly and deeply. And if you come with an existing story idea, then you could have things attached to that idea that we are not going to be developing until like lesson 7 or something, and you're trying to fit those in at lesson 3, and they are going to limit your options in terms of what you can create at lesson 3, because you're already like, well, I can't change that thing because I've got this idea that I want to go with, if that makes sense. So it's limiting. And the idea with the academy is to teach you how to do this do this once from scratch over a 10-week period, so that then you can do it in hours or days next time. So once you finish the academy or finished, most of the lessons in the academy, you could take that idea that you had before the academy and you can turn it into a complete plot embryo or a few plot embryos that you absolutely adore in just a few hours or days. But you will be better equipped to do that if you start from scratch in the academy, because you will understand all stages. Okay, what's the word? I'm being a dead horse a little bit now, so that's that question. Carl says, if we are mid-process, would you suggest suspending that writing process until this were over? I think if you can do both and you want to, then that's totally your decision. It's totally up to you. If you are strapped on time and you don't feel like you can focus on both things at once, then yes, I would say put your current project on pause, do the academy, and oh my God, once it's over, you're going to see exactly what you need to do with that project. That's something that the existing students of the academy have told me, is that they were mid-project before, they stopped, they developed all this, and now at the end of it, they're like, oh my God, I can see exactly all the things that I need to fix in that previous project, and I know exactly what I'm going to do now, and I feel so much more confident with it and stuff. So it's that kind of like, okay, put this blunt axe down for just a little bit, and let's sharpen it up, and I'll teach you how to chop down this other tree, and then you can go back to that one that you've kind of hacked up a bit, if that makes sense. Sorry, I just put my screen in the wrong place. So folks, please just stick your questions in the chat if you have any questions about the Story Magic Academy. That's what we're doing. I'm answering them. Enrollment, like I said, closes tomorrow for 2019. So if you are not in by tomorrow, then you won't be able to join us until next year, until 2020. So this is the time to decide, and this is why I'm doing this, so that I can answer anything you may be unsure of. Okay, so another question that I've had quite a few times is, what do I do with the story that I end up creating during the academy afterwards? Like, do I have to write it? What is the deal with that? And my answer to that is super quick. It is, you are not obligated to do anything with a story that you end up creating over the course of the academy. It's totally up to you. Like I said, I consider that story as like a nice byproduct of the process of learning how to do this. It's a bonus. It's really nice. And I am pretty confident that you will be really excited about that story that you end up creating in the Academy, and that you will want to write it, but you don't have to. You can dive immediately straight into writing it for NaNoWriMo. Like I've said before, I think the Academy schedule is perfectly positioned to end our final lesson in mid-October. So it gives you a little bit of time to prepare. And then if you want to write your first draft of that story in NaNoWriMo, you can, but you don't have to. You can actually just consider it a learning process and be like, that was great. I've learned how to do this now. I don't really want to write this, maybe now, maybe ever. You can shelve it. You can dive into drafting, or you can consider it practice. It's totally up to you. Jada says, that's what I'm hoping for, figuring out why the suspense in my current work is insufficient. Looking forward to starting a different one from scratch and learning the work. Yes, exactly. That sounds great. And I think if you're worried about suspense and stuff, then I think our lesson on conflict and creating the central conflict is going to be really good for you, because this is a problem that I help people with a lot, where they feel like there's just not enough tension. Like it feels like you know what you want to be happening, but like it just isn't hitting home, and nothing feels like that important, I suppose. That is where we solve that. Okay, so outlining. Yeah, this is another question that I've had quite a few times as well. And I think Sin asked me this. So will the Academy teach me how to outline? Not exactly. So the plot embryo in itself obviously is a kind of outline even. It's an outline on one page, which I personally think is like the perfect amount. That's what you need, because you can fit all of the most important things on that. And but it's also small enough that it forces you to focus, and you can't just immediately dive into the weeds and get like tangled in particular details for scenes and stuff, because you just don't have space to do that on an A4 page. So I personally like to create a plot embryo and then just write straight from that, and just be referring to that one page of A4 as my entire outline. But I do like to turn that into a more detailed outline, maybe with scene cards or something, when I'm in revision, because I find that I need to be doing kind of more precise details kind of work. And I think that's a good place to start for most people. You might be one of those people that really wants a more detailed outline before you get started. If you are that kind of person, I do give some tips and techniques and strategies in our final lessons for how to turn your plot embryo into another kind of outline and start fleshing it out from there to use during writing. But at the moment, we don't cover like that entire process, because I don't think for most people that it is an absolute prerequisite. I think the whole point of the plot embryo is that it gets you the most important information that you need to know about the story. And a lot of the time people have very, very long outlines that still only contain little parts of that incredibly important information. And that's why people get stuck in things. So yeah. Yeah, so Carl says, that is a dilemma for me. Do I want to finish what I'm doing now and plan for the Academy next year, or suspend drafting and do this now? Like, I'm biased, obviously, but I think if you are even thinking about doing the Academy, it's worth it to do it now, before you do all of that work, and potentially find that you could have been doing that more quickly and more easily and stuff. Because that is exactly kind of what I went through with North of the End, is that I wrote an entire 100,000 word draft, and then found the plot embryo and was like, could have saved myself so much time. of course, I learned a lot about it through doing that. But yeah, it can be a little bit painful to struggle through, or to like continue for quite a while drafting something, and then find that like, oh, there was actually maybe an easier way to do this. But it's totally a judgment call. It's totally up to you and where you feel like you are at in your life and in your writing and all that kind of thing. Like I said, obviously I'm biased. So Dal Cecile asks, how much is this academy thing? So the academy is, like I said, it's 10 weeks. It's 10 video lectures that are super in-depth. It's all my best stuff about the plot embryo, and 10 weekly Q&A sessions. And we have 2 payment options. So you can either pay 3 monthly payments of $340 each, or you can pay it all in one go and you get a little bit of money off, and that is $997 US dollars. It doesn't matter what currency you use or where in the world you are, it will automatically convert no matter where you are. It's just that most of my YouTube people and viewers and stuff are in the US, so that's why it's listed in US dollars. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so I think I've covered all the most important stuff. So if you have a question, please stick it in the chat in the next few minutes, because I think I'm going to wrap up fairly soon. So if you do have a question, don't wait around. Please stick it in right now, because I'm going to be wrapping up. So another question that I've had quite a few times, and I think this makes perfect sense because I have previously focused on novel writing as a kind of niche, I suppose, for all of my YouTube things, is like, what kind of writer is the Academy for? Like, what kind of things do I need to be writing to join the Academy? So the Academy is really broad spectrum because it deals with the story creation process and not the drafting process. It can really be applied to any medium. It doesn't matter if you're writing novels, if you're writing short stories or short fiction, if you're writing for the screen, for TV or film, or writing for games or any other medium that you can think of. The stuff that you will learn in the Academy applies to all of those because it's all about the story creation stuff that happens before you translate that into your chosen medium through drafting. So yeah, it really works for all mediums. It actually, if you are interested in writing for TV or film, it will be probably even more valuable to you than maybe to a novelist. Although novels still need good structure as well. They need all these important parts of a story as well. Because you have more space in a novel, people don't tend to focus on structure to the same extent. Whereas in TV and film, structure is everything. Everything has to be well structured. And so if you are looking to write TV or film and get paid for it, then the Academy will help you master that quickly and easily, and probably help you in that regard, as in help you get work. Whereas with novels, it's more about helping you craft a really good story, and maybe setting yourself apart a little bit from, there are a lot of novels out there which are beautifully written on like a sentence or a paragraph level, but when you take the whole story together as a whole, that structure isn't quite as strong, or isn't really there, and that's something that people tend to get away with in novels a bit more than other mediums. But your readers and agents and editors and stuff will still be very excited and will thank you if your novel has a really great pacey structure. And yeah, so Medium, it applies to all mediums. I think, yeah, when I started YouTube, or maybe not when I started, when I was kind of getting going on YouTube and speaking about writing more and more, I really thought that all I ever wanted to write was novels. And everyone always tells you to niche down and to focus on a niche. And so that's what I focused on. I was like, okay, well, I'll talk about writing novels. But in the last few years, I've realized that the plot embryo is really my niche. The plot embryo is what I'm good at. It's what I've got a knack for. It's what I have experience with. It's what I can help people with. And the plot embryo can apply to all sorts of things. So like I'm niche in that I specifically focus on structure and this particular phase of the writing process, as opposed to teaching you how to write an entire novel from, story creation to then drafting and revision and all that. I don't teach drafting and revision, although I do give you some strategies for it. I teach that very particular part before that everyone kind of needs to go through at some point. And oh yeah, genre as well. So the Academy applies no matter what kind of genre that you are writing. So it doesn't matter if it is sci-fi, fantasy, contemporary, romance, thriller, crime, literary, cyberpunk, steampunk, whatever. This structure applies to all sorts of stories, and you can use it to create stories of all kinds. Yeah, don't worry about that either. Okay, friends, if nobody has any other questions, then I think I will wrap it up here. It's been fun. I should do more live streams, shouldn't I? I think I always just think of it as like a big deal, something I have to do a lot of planning and stuff for. But this is fine. We're just chilling. We're just chatting. It's cool. I should probably stop drinking this tea now. But it's too good. Hello, whoever just said hi. I'm really sorry. We're actually just wrapping up. But you will be able to watch the replay of this. Like the recording is going to be up there. So don't worry. So in conclusion, I suppose, guys, like I said, I have mentioned it already, but enrollment for the Academy is closing tomorrow. Someone's got some chat. Amity says, that's been my problem. I can write pretty, but I can't craft a story worth a damn. However, I actually thought up the basic outline of a story for like the first time in my life this week. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's great. This is actually, so if you have looked at the Academy at all, you might have seen a testimonial from one of my previous students, Michaela. And Michaela, that was her exact problem as well. She was like, I can write beautifully. I can write amazing sentences. I can write beautiful paragraphs. And, whenever I've taken them to workshops and stuff, people are always like, this is great. But she did NaNoWriMo last year. And she was like, I wrote 50,000 words and some of them were very pretty and fucking nothing happened. And she was like, I realized from that like, yeah, I can do the writing, but I do not have the story crafting part down. And so if that is you, then the Story Magic Academy is exactly for you. It is the ticket, because that is exactly what I teach. It is the story craft part of it, which I think is quite overlooked in a lot of like writing content and courses and like all that kind of thing. I think that people, or it's like the thing where you'll have like, here's a checklist of everything you should know about your story before you start writing it, and it'll be like a bunch of questions, and you'll be like, that's great, but how do I figure any of that out? How do I get the answers to those questions? I find things like that really frustrating, and part of what I wanted to do with the Academy is be like, here's what you need, and here's exactly how to get it, because it's not actually as difficult as it seems. So yeah, that's kind of my my MO with the Academy, is like, I want to show you, here's all the important stuff that you need. There's not actually as much of it as you think, and here's exactly how to create it. It's not as difficult as it seems. So Jada asks, so our future hour with you will be private and not on public YouTube? Yes. Basically, when I create live streams like this, I can set it to public, like this, or I can set it to private or unlisted, which means that I get to choose who to share it with. And that's how I'll be doing the Rachel study sessions of the Academy, is that they will just be private versions of this. So just the students of the Academy will get to see them. Okay, I really am going to wrap up now, guys. Yes, I've said it 3 times at this point, but I'm going to say it one last time. Enrollment is closing tomorrow. We would love to have you. If you don't join us tomorrow, then you're going to be waiting until 2020. So if you have any interest in the Academy at all, if there's anything else I can clear up for you, please just shoot me an email, send me a tweet, message me on Instagram, whatever, and I will try and sort that out for you. Like I said, if you are like, I know I want to, but I can't just pay all up front, that's just not going to happen for me. We do have the payment plan option as well, so you can do it in 3 monthly payments, if that's helpful. And yeah, I guess I just want to finish off by saying, like, I am really tired from putting this together. It's been like a really crazy few months, and it's been a really crazy week and a half of like getting this out there and stuff. Like, I'm very tired, but I'm also incredibly excited because this is honestly the best stuff that I've ever created. Like, this is all my best brain stuff. It's all the best stuff from my brain. And you guys like that, don't you? So it's stuff that I have been like figuring out how to share for quite a long time, and some of the techniques in it I absolutely adore, and I know they're going to be super, super helpful for you, and I can't wait to hear what you think of them. And yeah, just that if you have already tried the plot embryo, if you've gotten things out of it, if you even just like can see the benefit of it in the videos where I talk about it, like, it goes so much deeper than you would possibly think. I feel like I'm like a scholar of the plot embryo. Like, I know a lot about it. I am like an expert on it, but I'm also going to be learning about it probably for the rest of my life because it has infinite depth. It is like, a pattern that is built into the universe. It's not something that I just created, and I'm going to be studying it forever. But it's what I love. So I'm perfectly happy to do that. Thank you for loving my t-shirt. I got this from Top Man in 2009. This t-shirt is 10 years old. This is my oldest t-shirt. And like, it's still so comfy. Okay, yeah, Jay's saying, thank you, Rachel. I'll think hard on the do it now or hold off until next year quandary. Yes, do. Like, obviously, I don't want to try and pressure you into joining if it's not the right time for you. Do what you have to do. But if you are on the fence and you think it might be useful, but you're just maybe a little bit worried about 1 or 2 things, or there's something that I can clear up for you, then yeah, I'm really happy to do that. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon.